So welcome friends, this is Avinash and I welcome all of you once again to an interesting episode of Face-to-Face Corporate Series where we introduce to you emerging corporates and we talk to them about their business plans, their growth journey, and we have the top management with us. And today friends, we've got a very interesting company by the name of Oriana Power Limited, and we have the pleasure of having the top management team, Mr. Rupal Gupta, who is the MD and the CEO of the company. Rupalji, thank you very much for sparing your valuable time with us today. And I'm sure that we'll have a very good productive session so that we can know your company better.
Yep. Thank you so much, Avinash, for giving us opportunity to come here and give a brief about Oriana Power and the journey.
Yeah.
So I also thank you all the audience here. So it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure to give a quick brief about our journey about our business. Yeah. So Oriana Power as a company, we started in 2013 in Delhi. We are operating in solar power generation and solar power solution field. We are operating in 19 states of the country. Apart from the operation in India, we also have diversified our operations outside India as well, in Kenya as well as in Middle East. We have a team of 57 plus people working for us and also have been executing the projects of 100 megawatt plus as on date.
Okay. So Rupalji, my next question to you is that, if you could tell us which are the prominent states. You said 19 states. So, if you could tell us some names where typically, Oriana is present in a very dominant way. And secondly, I was reading your prospectus. If you could tell us in brief, about your company's business model. You have the CapEx model and the RESCO model. So, इसके बारे में थोड़ा सा बताइए.
बिल्कुल अविनाश जी. तो जैसा कि बताया, like we are operating in 19 states. Obviously, out of these 19 states, North India is something where we have most of the capacity installed as on date, and we are going further down also in the other states. So Rajasthan is one of the major states. Probably we would say 25% plus capacity is coming from the Rajasthan itself. And apart from Rajasthan, Haryana, Punjab, and Uttar Pradesh are the other states where we have our own strength of executions. And in terms of business model, we Oriana Power are operating into solar business vertical. Under the solar category of operations, we are largely focused into CapEx as well as the OpEx, or we call it RESCO model.
Okay.
CapEx, I'm sure we all know, like, as a buyer, you just, call us for the installation of the solar power plant. As an expert, we come forward and do the execution and get the, money. Second is the OpEx, where as a buyer, you don't want to make your own investment. You call us for the supply of electricity rather than supply of solar power system. So we do our own investment under the OpEx model and supply the green electricity.
Okay. Understood. I think, Rupalji, now tell me one thing, that in terms of the mix between CapEx and RESCO, currently, as on date, what could be the mix between CapEx and RESCO? If you could please tell us that. And secondly, for the RESCO model, if you could tell us, how is revenue generated? Like, is this power supplied to corporates under a proper PPA agreement? So, इसके बारे में थोड़ा बताइए.
Sure. So as I said, we have total installed capacity of typically 100 megawatt plus. Out of that, 70 megawatt is coming from CapEx model, and 30 megawatt is the capacity we are as on date having installation base in the form of RESCO PPA model. Now under the PPA model, we usually set the PPA for 25 years with the good clientele, reputed clientele, and supply the electricity for 25 years. It varies state to state, location to location, type of the project also.
Okay, fine. So basically, you basically take the contract, basically you undertake the generation of that project, and then you generate electricity and you supply it to the corporates who actually want, power from your side. So CapEx अपना खुद का लगता है, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जो जनरेट होती है वो आप इस इन कॉर्पोरेट्स को आप सप्लाई करते हैं. So is this
yeah, बिल्कुल ठीक कहा आपने सर. 25 years का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट फिक्स्ड है.
और ये जो रेस्को मॉडल है, इसमें O&M का क्या शेयर होता है? लाइक नॉर्मली ऑपरेशन एंड मेंटेनेंस इज सपोज्ड टू बी अ काइंड ऑफ अ रेगुलर रेवेन्यू. सो डू यू हैव एनी एग्रीमेंट विद द कस्टमर कि 25 साल के लिए आप O&M आप ही के पास रहेगा, और मोटा मोटी कितना पर मेगावाट आपको आप कितना O&M चार्ज करते हो, उसके बारे में थोड़ा बताइए।
जी अविनाश जी, तो इसमें क्या रहता है, जो पीपीए मॉडल, रेस्को मॉडल है, इस मॉडल में कैपेक्स इन्वेस्टमेंट इज आल्सो रिमेन्स विद अस, एज वेल एज ऑपरेशन एंड मेंटेनेंस इज ऑलवेज अ पार्ट ऑफ ओरियाना पावर एंड द सब्सिडरीज.
ओके।
So that means we are supposed to give the electricity with all the best practices of operation and maintenance at our end.
ओके।
So that is also the part of overall supply system in the form of electricity which lies with us.
हाँ, मेरे को एक बात बताइएगा रूपल जी की प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी वाइज अगर हम कैपेक्स मॉडल को देखें और रेस्को मॉडल को देखें, तो प्योरली इबिटा मार्जिन अगर मैं कंपेयर करूं दोनों बिजनेसेस से, तो कौन सा ज्यादा प्रॉफिटेबल है, कैपेक्स मॉडल है या आपका रेस्को मॉडल?
टू बी ऑनेस्ट अविनाश जी, ये क्वेश्चन बड़ा ट्रिकी है, क्वेश्चन होना भी और आंसर होना भी. तो हाँ, बिल्कुल अलग बिजनेस स्ट्रीम लाइन से. सो कैपेक्स बिजनेस इज लाइक, आज पैसे लगाते हैं और आज पैसे कमाते हैं.
बिल्कुल।
आज ही इसका पता चल गया पीएनएल क्या है, बट ये पैसा खर्च कर देंगे हम 6 महीने बाद, हमारे पास कुछ भी नहीं है. बट ओपेक्स मॉडल, इट्स अ एन्युटी बिजनेस मॉडल. So whatever investment happens today, it is gonna give you revenue and the profitability for 25 years.
ओके।
That means इसका profitability year 1, year 2, year 3 में देखना मुश्किल है.
हाँ।
But इसका profitability का enjoy करने का है 25 years में.
अच्छा।
So one business, that is the strength of Oriana Power. We are operating in capex and opex. Capex में we make our bottom line strong today for present. In the OPEX model, we create our bottom line and the top line for the future.
ओके। Yeah, understood. I think Rupalji very well articulated. Now tell me one thing, that for the RESCO model, that is for the OPEX model, जब आप खुद का कैपेक्स लगाते हो, पावर आप खुद जनरेट करते हो, and then you supply to the customers. Now the land acquisition which is required, that is entirely driven by your strategic acquisition की कौन से स्टेट में जाना है, कहाँ पे जमीन आइडेंटिफाई करना है, तो वो जो प्रोसेस होता है उसके लिए आप पूरी तरह से सक्षम हो, क्योंकि आई थिंक व्हेन यू डू द ओपेक्स मॉडल और द रेस्को मॉडल विच यू मेंशन्ड, you obviously must be requiring a decent piece of land across states. So इसके बारे में थोड़ा बताइए कि कैसे प्लानिंग होती है, आप कैसा प्लान करते हो?
Okay, so the first thing, the most important thing under this open access OPEX model is the state policy. So even though I wish to go to one of the state where state policies doesn't support, that means there is no point of going there.
Right.
So as a team, as a company, first we look at which are the state having the better present policy, and the over the 5 years they have the horizon to get the open access support. So like Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, even now Karnataka is coming up with the better policy. Likewise, our internal team, sales team, does the due diligence on the policies, and based on the policies, we have our own in-house land team, as land acquisition, as well as the licensing team. They then apply for the land acquisition part of it or connectivity part of it in the different states.
Okay. But just a simple question which is connected to this answer what you mentioned Rupal ji, is that land का जो acquisition होता है इसमें आपका कितना maneuverability होती है, यानी आपको भी पता है land acquisition is always a little difficult part, but despite that you are going in for the OPEX or the RESCO model, तो land acquisition आगे भी smoothly होगा ऐसा आपको लगता है? I mean this land acquisition will be a smooth affair for our company.
It's a very important question, sir, and very serious. The point which we also discuss at our end on every day, I mean, within the team and outside the team as well. So land is always a genuine concern across the field, not only for solar industry and other industries as well. But I think it's coming up better. Only earlier we were assuming the price of the land would be X, and if it is now X plus 10%, so as a developer, as a solar company, we have to consider X plus 10% plus some X,
Exactly. Yeah.
to keep that safeguarded in terms of your bottom line.
Yeah.
So we are very much focused into those factors, and bidding into the projects accordingly.
Okay. Rupal ji, you mentioned that you have done about 100 megawatt as capacity. Now, going forward in the next, say, 1 to 2 years, what is the kind of growth momentum in terms of the install capacity which the management has targeted? I mean, we don't want any specific numbers, but a very broad range. in the next 2 years, what kind of install capacity can Oriana Power increase? If you could give us, both for the capex as well as for the resco model, or maybe a consolidated number, which will, enable us to see what is the kind of growth plans the company is envisaging.
Very correctly, Avinash, I am bound to not to come up with any specific number, futuristic number, but still, as you have asked, so I'll be pleased to give you some sort of visions, basically, where
Yeah,
we are heading
yeah,
towards.
yeah.
So as a Oriana Power, like from 100 megawatt, we are targeting another typically 50% plus of capacity within this year of addition in terms of capex,
Okay.
and almost doubling the capacity of opex.
Okay, fine. So basically, OpEx would be doubled. I mean,
Yeah,
basically that will be a very strong growth focus area for the company going forward.
yeah.
Okay. Now, Rupalji, now tell me in terms of the, the business model. As you said, capex में तो हम किसी को plant बना के देते हैं, then you get the money. But in case of OpEx, you got to put your own money. So,
Yeah.
mota moti, what is the kind of capital expenditure in our business? Like every year, around what kind of money has got to be put for hardcore fixed investments, in the capex side. If you could give us some idea, maybe not a specific number, but at least a broad number, so that we can understand how growth is envisaged by you. Like you mentioned, we are looking at 50% growth in install capacity. तो सर इसके लिए मोटा मोटी थोड़ा बहुत पैसा कितना लगेगा?
Okay, so OPEX project is a project which varies case to case basis, location to location basis. Like Rajasthan has a different capex value versus other state, even like Maharashtra or Telangana, because land value is different, solar generation is different. For the same quantum of energy, you have to have a different size of the solar plant installation.
Okay.
So yes, but still, just to give you a ballpark number, we estimate typically around 4.5 crore rupees per megawatt of capex cost for the setting up 1 megawatt of OPEX project.
Okay. And Rupalji, now for your Resco model, if you could tell us some of your key clients, if you could name some names if it is possible. And secondly, in terms of revenue, what is the kind of arrangement you have with the customers? Do you give them some sort of discount, or you give them a competitive price if they come to you and access power? Because this is green energy. तो ऐसा कुछ आपका पैकेज होता है जो आप कस्टमर्स के साथ करते हो?
Right, Avinash, first of all, regarding the customer name, Oriana Power is very privileged, and as a we feel proud about it, about our clientele. We have very good clientele, very renowned clientele, like Hindustan Copper Limited, Sambar Salt Limited, National High Speed Railway Corporation, first bullet train project we are doing in the Sabarmati, NHRCL. We have a clientele like Mantora Oil Refinery, HPCL, IOCL, Hero Motor Corp, JK Lakshmi Cement, and Udaipur Cement, and many others like this. So very, very high valuable clientele we have got. Second question, which you have asked for regarding the discount or benefit in terms of green energy to client. So we all know why green energy is important. One, for the simple reason for the environmental protection, carbon dioxide reduction, which is a primary motto of the world, as well as as a country we have a vision, and as a big corporates, all clientele also have got the vision of carbon reduction. Plus, apart from the carbon reduction, there has to be some financial benefit as well. So I would say typically as a one client, he's saving almost 50% plus the cost of electricity by putting up solar under the RESCO or even CapEx model.
Okay.
So that is a benefit, that is a discount, that is the net saving to him.
Okay. And typically, Rupal ji, what is the cost of setting 1 megawatt of power? अगर मोटा मोटी हम लोग बोले कि 1 megawatt of power solar project से लगाना है, तो खर्चा कितना आता है मोटा मोटी?
मोटा मोटा साहब आप 4.5 करोड़ रुपया पर मेगावाट ले सकते हैं.
Okay. And just to understand, what is the actual kind of order book? Like at least, this business is all order book driven. So typically, sir, 6 महीने का या 3 महीने का किस प्रकार से order book का cycle आप लेते हो? अगर if you can share the data points, nothing like it, but otherwise at least tell us how you plan for your production, from your clients, so that your revenue visibility is more or less assured.
Yeah. So अविनाश जी, सारे बिजनेस में ऑर्डर बुक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. हमारे बिजनेस में भी उतना इंपॉर्टेंट है. हमारी ग्रोथ जर्नी में अगर आप देखेंगे, सो वी हैव बीन ग्रोइंग इन मल्टी एक्स. in last 4 5 years. So same pace of growth we are going to continue for next 5 years.
Okay.
Immediately, just to give you next 1 year of growth number. So as I said, in terms of capex, we are going to add up minimum, the capacity addition of 50% plus from the last year. On the RESCO side, also 100% of capacity addition. So in terms of revenue, if you would ask, that is going to be almost double of what we did last year, almost. Likewise, next year also we are going to look at 2x growth from the 23 and 24.
Okay. रूपल जी, let me ask you a very simple question. इस business में सर asset turnover कितना होता है? Asset turnover कितना होता है? Like आपने अगर 10 रुपया asset में लगाया तो revenue कितना आता है? If you could tell me that.
Okay, so I can give you a number in terms of IRR. I hope that would help you to get the answer. So typically, as a business under this model, we target of 13 to 16, 17% of net IRR post tax. Pre-tax, it goes typically 18 to 20%.
Okay, understood. Now, in terms of the competitive landscape, Rupal ji, along with you, there are many other players in the market. So, is there any player which directly competes with you, both from the listed space or the unlisted space? I mean, what is the level of competition? Broadly, competition ka flavor market mein kaisa hai? Since you are in the market, this business is growing. So, what is your thought process? Kitna competitive market hai, or within this competitive market, do you still feel, the opportunity is very large to grow? If you could, share your thoughts.
So Avinash, market is there. So competition is also gonna be there, which is good to have. Nothing wrong about it. And we always enjoy to have the competition in our business. But you have to create our own space, and we have created our own, area where we are operating. We are focused into our area, which is from, 100 kilowatt or 200 kilowatt segment to 20, 30 megawatt of capacity as on date under the CapEx and OpEx model, where competition is not that high as it is in the higher utility segment or under the segment, which is less than 100 kilowatts capacity. So from the listing side, I would say there are a few good names from the market, like Gensol Engineering, like KPI Green, even Sterling Wilson as a big company, large company. They are also listed on the stock exchange. Today they have got big numbers on the board, but yes, that is the area where we are also heading towards and having the competition.
Okay, I think Rupal ji, now tell me one thing very specifically. Now, what is the kind of competitive moat, which Oriana Power has built? Like, we are also there in the solar business. There are others, but in your perspective and in your own kind of thought process, what is so special about our company which makes us confident that even the growth in future will be very good? So, if you could share some few qualitative points for us.
Sure, Avinash ji. I would say Oriana Power is one of the company or one of the first company operating into floating solar segment. I'm sure as a audience you have heard about this nomenclature. Floating solar is something which is being placed on the water bodies.
Yeah.
So we are one of the largest or first runner into the industry doing the floating solar, and we have done back-to-back 3 projects as on date for the big clients and going very aggressively into this segment. So that is one of the special edge we have over others. Second, as a company, we are operating into capex as well as the resco, both operation side. That means as a client, as a buyer, you have open option available from the same one platform where you can either opt for capex or opex, which is not the case with many other known companies in the country. Third, we have pan India presence and going aggressively outside the country as well.
Okay. I think very well articulated, and I think this floating concept is very unique. I think you all have definitely got a significant edge there. Rupal ji, now tell me one more thing, that which are the big projects Oriana Power has done. If you could give us some flavor in the last 1 or 2 years, कौन से बड़े projects आपने किए हैं जहाँ पे आपने बहुत अच्छा success achieve किया है?
सो सक्सेस के बड़ा बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट सर दो फॉर्मेट में रहता है। एक होता है कैपेसिटी से बड़ा, दूसरा पैसे से बड़ा, तीसरा होता है उसकी मार्केट वैल्यू से बड़ा, द रेपुटेशन विच वी अर्न। तो मैं बोलूंगा सर पहले मैं रेपुटेशन की बात करता हूँ। सो वी डिलीवर्ड द वेरी फर्स्ट प्रोजेक्ट ऑफ 3 megawatt floating solar in the Visakhapatnam. That was one of the first kind of that capacity in 2020 around, right? And then we delivered first project in Rajasthan state for the cement industry. First project for cement industry in Rajasthan, that is Udaipur Cement, arm of JK Lakshmi Cement, at their mining. So that is one of the special project, credible project. Then apart from in terms of the capacity, we have delivered 8 megawatt of project at the JK Lakshmi Cement Sirohi. We have delivered 4.5 megawatt project on the hilly terrain. So again, it's a special project, not in terms of capacity, but in terms of installation types. So that is in Udaipur Cement. And also, we have delivered projects for big petrochemical companies like IOCL and HPCL.
So I think very well articulated, Rupal ji. I think बहुत बड़े clients हैं. I think delivery with these corporate clients definitely is a very big challenge. To satisfy their expectations and aspirations. So I think definitely very good work done by the company. Rupal ji, now tell me on the working capital side, what is the normal working capital cycle for the company and for the overall industry? मोटा मोटी working capital cycle कितना लंबा होता है?
So it varies, company to company, client to client. Uh, I would say in the area we are operating, the working capital is not a serious concern.
Okay.
Because if you have a good clientele, if you execute the project on time, your working capital requirement would be different versus the bad client and the delay in the projects and all.
Okay.
So that way we have a very minimal working capital requirement, that is 30 days of working capital as on date, and the quantum is also less than 10 CR with the current capacity in operations.
Okay. And currently, Rupal ji, on the balance sheet side, if you could tell us what is the total leverage on the books, like total debt हमारा अभी कितना होगा, like long term, short term अगर हम add करें, so roughly as on date, what could be the total debt on the books be like?
तो शॉर्ट टर्म की बात करते हैं सर, तो दैट वुड बी ऑन द ओरियाना पावर, इट्स टिपिकली 10 crore अप्रॉक्स.
Okay, fine. This is
एंड लॉन्ग टर्म की बात करते हैं तो I mean, I'll have to multiply all the SPVs and RESCO companies, which probably I'll get to you
fine, no
probably the
problem.
post discussion.
No issues. Now tell me one thing. Now with so much growth envisaged by you that you want to double your RESCO install capacity, you want to look at a 50% growth in the install capacity. Now you tell me one thing, that will the scale benefits translate into better margins for the company going forward? अगले 2 साल में ये जो होगा, इसमें scale भी बढ़ेगा, लेकिन margins में भी कुछ improvement के लिए जगह होगी. That is what I want to ask.
So naturally, I mean, the solar industry or the kind of industry we are operating, that is more towards the service industry, supplying the electricity. And being a service industry, as much as volume is grow, you get the cost benefit in terms of your operational cost. So let's say today I'm operating at the operational cost of 3 lakhs rupee a megawatt, which is going to average out maybe 2 lakhs rupee a megawatt in next 2 years and further down in upcoming years.
Okay.
So that benefit would be passed on to the company for the present projects in terms of the PAT and the margins.
Okay. Okay, now Rupal ji, again a question which I think you can answer in a very limited way. Sir, थोड़ा बहुत आपके financials के ऊपर हमको थोड़ा बताइए कि whatever data you can share with us, what is the revenue, what is the profit, if you could give us some flavor on the financials.
So in terms of the turnover, last year we clicked typically 134 crore of turnover approximately, with the PAT of 12.5 crore plus.
Okay.
Previous year, we did 101 crore of revenue with the PAT of approximately 7.5 crore.
Okay.
Before that, we did 33 crore of turnover with the PAT of typically 1.8 crore. So that means we have been growing in multi-X, as I said in the previous discussion, 33X to 134 crore today. And just to give you one more side of it, today Oriana Power has got order value of typically close to 200 crore for this year.
Okay. So I think
already in hand.
Growth trajectory, Arupal ji, बहुत बढ़िया है. In fact, it's going to continue with the same momentum. Hopefully, by God's grace, things should fall in place. So I think it's good to know. Rupalji, now tell me one thing. If you could share some details about your forthcoming IPO, like I believe the company is now ready to go public. So इसके बारे में थोड़ा सा जानकारी, whatever you can share with us for our viewers.
Yes, I mean, to grow further, we as a management decided to take some steps in terms of fundraising and take the Oriana Power to the next phase. So we are going with the IPO where we have already filed the DRHP and we are waiting to get the approval maybe within this week if all happens in that timeline. So we should be ready for the IPO maybe by first week of August. And the IPO value or the fundraise we are looking at typically in the range of 55 to 60 crore rupees
Okay.
with the 26% of dilution from the retail market.
Okay. Another thing, Rupalji, which I want to ask you is that, a lot of other companies, competing companies are now getting into wind energy. Now, is, our company looking at only solar? Actually, you mentioned floating, solar, which is a new concept for me also because, I've been tracking this industry for a long time. But then considering wind and solar is more or less connected. So any plans in future where, you would be looking at this, energy source also? अगर ऐसा कुछ है तो आपके drawing board पे है या आप सोच रहे हो? If you could, tell us if at all, if anything is there.
So Avinashji, to be honest, we have many things to add on into our system, into our business model, but I am not at the right time to share all that information at this platform.
Okay.
But yes, I can tell you the upcoming things which are like wind, RTC, hybrid, everything is on the card. But yes, time will come and will inform you.
Just one industry related question कि अभी solar को लेके, wind को लेके, government has been very proactive. It's been very, generous in doling out very good, healthy kind of, business conditions for entrepreneurs. Now, tell me one thing. What is your thought process? Like in this industry, unless the government supports you, will it be entirely dependent on government policy? Because normally क्या होता है ना कि lot of people keep asking us that this industry grows, but it also depends on how the government thinks. What is the government thinking on the projects? Of course, this will continue in future also. But आपको क्या लगता है कि ये आगे भी चलेगा कि गवर्नमेंट का सपोर्ट आपको बहुत ज्यादा लगेगा अगर आपको या all the industry players have to grow? So this phenomenon continue for all the players for this industry? Government support is very much essential.
So Avinashji, with this question, I agree with you, and sorry, I disagree as well. So I agree that was the case with the industry for almost 10, 15 years. So, I mean, I personally entered into this industry in the 2008. So same story was there. It was always dependent on government and policies and regulation. At 2008 to, I would say, till 2018, 19, 20, it was largely that like that. But in last recent years, there has been significant change. Industry is running independently. When I say independently, the tariff of solar used to be 18 rupees versus grid tariff for 4 rupees way back in 2008 to 10. Now, grid tariff is 10 rupees versus solar tariff of sub 3 rupees or so. That means this industry doesn't need any support from any government or regulation side. It has its own reason to be adopted in the market.
Okay.
Second, the price side also, if you are aware about, in government of India has imposed 44% of import duty on solar panels. So obviously it gives a short setback to the user or to the developer for time being. But yes, I mean, it doesn't stop anywhere. Industry is going to grow in multifold like it happened in last couple of years. So this year also industry is going to have definitely, uh, reasonable capacity addition without with this with the implication of duty of 44%.
So I think nicely mentioned by you, Upal ji, because क्या होता है ना कि normally government interference या government dependence जब कोई भी sector का होता है, तब people are little apprehensive. But I think you clearly mentioned how things have changed over the years, and I think this industry is now self-sustainable. Even without government backing or support, I think the growth is definitely there because obviously everybody knows what is the value of green energy. Rupalji, my last question to you now is that in any business, there are some normal risks which are there. Of course, COVID was a very strong exception. But otherwise, हमारे धंधे में सबसे बड़ा risk factor क्या है? Like, is it execution or is it some other factor which, according to you, has a very big bearing on the success of our company?
So To be honest, supply chain is seems to be a little risk, which government of India has taken right measures and steps to cut it off. So if I say like at present the maximum capacity of import of solar panel is coming from China, so that is the risk. But yes, there are ways of to overcome that risk where government of India as well as Indian solar module manufacturer are coming up with a big capacity addition. So I would say in 1.5 year, 2 years time, that risk also would be mitigated up to the reasonable extent.
Okay. Anyway, I think Rupalji, thank you very much for your valuable time. In fact, we had a very productive session, friends. And I do hope that all of you enjoyed as much as I did. And I think, if you do like the video, please like and share it. And Rupalji, once again, thank you very much and congratulations to you and to your entire management team and best wishes for your IPO also.
Thank you, Avinash. Thank you so much. Thank you all the best.